Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Accountability Mentorship. I'm your host, Michael Fields, CEO and founder of Entrepreneurship Services. Thank you all for joining, and I have a great message for you today. Today we're going to get on talking about the content we listen to. So, kind of heard a little bit about 2 podcasts ago, kind of heard about the self-development material I've podcasted I made. And now we're going to kind of go off of that with the content we listen to. So today's kind of start message to think about is our actions in our lives and our relationships are a reflection of the content we listen to. I've always been a big country. I was raised on kind of country music and kind of been a rap, hip hop fan for a long time. Kind of what my sister and me kind of started listening to when we were in our teenage years, and our friends too. But it literally took me until my mid-20s to realize what the words said. I've always just liked music because of a good melody or a good beat, and I was addicted to it because I liked certain melodies and beats. But when you actually sit back and listen to the material that rappers use nowadays, it's not that great. And it puts a damper on your day because we listen to that negative material. And it wasn't the material that I wanted my family to hear or my own children nowadays. Beyond that, it was causing my emotional side of myself to become super angry. And it was a vice that was causing me to use foul language every day. And I don't have a thing about cussing. Honestly, I cuss in my podcast. But, if you listen to something that's going to make you cuss a ton of times, then it's going to make you do it. It's just going to control your life. And how I really started to realize that I cussed a lot was when I got into a relationship and started to have kids, that my own kids call me out on my cussing. And that's crazy because, that's good to have, honestly. Kind of gives you an accountability factor that says, dang, maybe I shouldn't be cussing as much. And I don't have a problem with cussing, like I said, but, if you use every other word as a cuss word, probably an issue. Actually, you ruin relationships because of using cuss words, because people don't think you're that intelligent when you sit there and cuss every other word. They look at you with a sense of bitterness and realize, all right, this dude does not know anything because that's all he uses is cuss words, and he's just angry at the world. That's gonna be their opinion. The content we listen to can affect a lot of different aspects of your life, to include your relationships, your businesses, and your personal lives. It could also affect you of how you present yourself and how you have self-motivation. It also can affect your energy levels, your commitment to certain tasks, different areas of your lives in general. You'll find out, once you change your intake of content, you'll realize how more motivated you are to actually do things. I've kind of done this experiment a few times. I like listening to upbeat music, so yes, I still have like a rap playlist, but I actually have it to where it has the clean music to where it doesn't have a cuss word. This makes me realize more that every other word in a lot of songs are all cuss words. But that's a good start, is to find a playlist that's going to just be clean music. Also to listen to when you're working out or in general. It's important that we stay in charge of our actions and emotions by listening to content and material that are going to motivate us and also change other people's lives around us. Let's start by listening to music without cussing. Look for, like I said, something without cussing. So let's look for clean playlists, something like clean hip hop or clean rap or clean rock, and start paying attention to the content you listen to. Listen to the words of the songs. Think about it out loud. If you were listening to this song on full blast in front of everyone, do you want everyone, or I know you shouldn't care about what other people think about you, and that's fine too. But if you play this in front of your kids or your family, do you think that it might be inappropriate? Do you think, is this something that you want, are they going to listen to? Is this something that you want them to listen to? And while you're listening to the words, think about, do I want these words to influence my life? Because that's what they're doing. Their song is influencing your life because you're using it for workout, you're using it for motivation. They're influencing your life. So do you want that to influence your life, your relationships, your attitude? Yeah, music can really influence your relationship because you can listen to an upbeat music song or just an upbeat song that says, hey, I'm leaving my boyfriend, I don't care, da 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 da, or my girlfriend. That's going to force you to actually rebel against your relationships. Instead of actually going home and actually talking to your girlfriend or boyfriend or spouse, that's going to put a damper on it. So why would you listen to that music? Are they in your relationship? Are they part of your relationship? Probably not. So maybe it's time that we stop listening to that music so that we could start actually working on the relationships around us. And for breakups and stuff too, a lot of people listen to music because they're depressed or they don't feel like it was their fault. Well, maybe it's time to take accountability for things that we may have done to ruin that relationship. Or stop listening to depressing music, start listening to something a little more upbeat, something that's going to mold you from being that depressed person into being a motivated person. Because what's going to hurt someone most is, let's say someone leaves you today in your relationship. What's going to hurt them most is you bounce back and you decide, you know what, I'm not going to stay in this deep manner. Tomorrow, I'm going to make sure that I am motivated and I move on. That alone is probably going to piss them off even worse. But don't do that for them. Do this for you. I promise you and I implore you, coming from a person that's changed my content and the way I listen to this world, you will not only change, like I said, your attitudes, your relationships, your emotions, your energy levels. All of this stuff affects you. And it's crazy how it does. I don't even know how it does. And I need to research it to get to the mental aspect of it. And maybe I'll do a podcast on that, how it affects your mental aptitude. But what you listen to affects you. If you listen to something motivational every single day for a year, I promise you your life is not going to be the same in a year. Now, it may take someone to start actually doing a business or start growing, but it's still, you're not going to be stagnant where you're at. You're going to be a totally different person. And it's just crazy in general how and what our bodies are capable of just listening to certain content. It goes from how we act to how we end up making certain decisions. So it's probably time that we pay attention to this. And also, we should always think about listening ears. What music are we listening to? If we listen to something high motivational, like a motivational speech or a motivational playlist saying, don't give up, you can change your life, don't give up. How do you think that's also going to affect people around you? Your kids, your family, your immediate family, mom and dad, brothers and sisters. Like I said before, the last podcast I did about 2 podcasts ago was self-development material. I like to put that stuff on the TV so my kids can hear that stuff. Because I don't want them to wait until they're 30 years old to start a business or to be motivated and dedicated into a life of passion. I want them to start now. I want them to think about it now. And it may be you're like thinking, oh, my kids are way too young for this. No, they're not. I have kids that are through mostly every age group. I have a 4-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a newborn. So if you think that my kids are too young, they are not. Because all my kids, when I listen to this material or do chores around the house, they come up to me and ask me questions. And I'm like, what in the heck? When I was a kid, when I was their age, I never once asked them a question. Even though I did live in a kind of a life of where my mom and dad and my grandparents did businesses, I still never went up and actually asked them because this material it was somewhat like spread, like my mom and dad used to listen to motivational material, but it wasn't all the time. But I'm shocked like when my kids come up to me. And like I said, this is listening ears. You need to think about the content you listen to with listening ears. Do you want your kids to listen to the content that you do? Think about it. This week in the car, what music did I listen to? Were my kids in the car? What music did I listen to on the way to work without my kids being in the car? Do I want them to listen to this music? Listen to the words, like I said. Also with this is when I turn this motivational content on, I give them an opportunity to help me out with chores around the house. This also could help with that. Or I'd give them an opportunity if they don't want to listen to it, they can go play outside or go play, somewhere else. But I'm listening to this content because I need to better myself. But don't feel like, hey, I can't listen to this content because my family doesn't want to listen to it. Well, put in some dang headphones. You don't have an excuse not to listen to this stuff. You need to listen to stuff that's going to better you, not put you down and make you feel like crap. But part of the subject is, it shocked me to see like the outcome of like my kids listening to this stuff or my family listening to stuff. I get people that come up to me when I listen to something out loud, and they start asking me questions, like friends of mine. You're like, when I'm in the car with friends, I hang out with my friends or whatever, but I started putting this stuff on and I get this outcome of, dang, I never even thought about that. And they start asking me questions about it. It may be something that could help better your business if you listen to something out loud on a speaker, even though sometimes there's a time and a place for it. This may benefit you because they could say, hey, who are you listening to, or what are you listening to? And you can come up and tell them, say, this is why I'm listening to this person, that this content changes my life because I build a business or something. So don't just think that it's going to annoy people. They may need that material. Can you imagine if your kids understood every word that was on the radio and they lived their lives based on that content? Would you listen to the same stuff that you did with the same stuff that you do? Can you imagine if today you change the content for your family and your kids and your spouses and stuff? How much different do you think their attitudes will be in general? Not just yours, but theirs. How different will their future relationships be compared to ours? If you listen to something motivational, something that has to do with molding people's relationships, and they pay attention to that content, how successful do you think their relationships are going to be when they're teenagers or they become adults? Probably a lot better than ours, right? When I worked at Walmart, and I worked at Walmart as a cart pusher for 3 years. But now when I was a cart pusher, they let me listen to my headphones and stuff. I always tried to listen to motivational material, but I wish I knew the outcome of it because I would have started at that age. But when I was a cart pusher, in the middle of cart pushing, probably like a year into it, I used to listen. Before that, I used to listen to just whatever was on the radio. I started listening to my mom and dad's old business tapes. And I had my dad's like old little Walkman with the little tape, like a tape player. So I used to take that to work and I used to listen to all those tapes. And man, when I listened to that motivation and nothing else but that motivation, that started to make me a different person. I started going like clocking in and clocking out during the day and walking past the manager's office. And one of my managers pulled me in and said, "Hey, Michael, what is going on with you? I've seen that you're motivated, you're dedicated. I see you walk taller. Like, what's going on? I see that you changed your life a little bit." And they kind of asked me what happened. And I just told them, I'm like, I don't think that there's nothing different about me. I'm just, doing my job and coming to work and going home. I haven't changed anything. And then I thought about it later that day. The content that I listened to went from taking me to a normal attitude of, hey, I'm just going to work to do this, to do that, to an attitude and just presence of being motivated. I didn't realize that I was walking straighter with my back not arched. And what they told me and what my mom and dad told me was they saw that I changed. From when I listened to that content, I went from being normal Michael to, dang, there's something about that guy I want to know. And it looked like I had a sense of purpose compared to what I was before. So this content can change your life when you don't even realize it. Now, I should have grasped that at an early age, but it took me until my late 20s, mid-20s, late 20s to realize that I'm going to change my content because it does change my outcome of how people look at me. Not only for a judgment aspect, but how they look at me as my walking with my head held high and with a sense of passion and urgency and purpose. Don't you want to exploit that? Be that way? And then people ask you, hey, what's going on? I see that you're super motivated. And you could tell them, I'm just doing my thing, doing my business, doing my life. And they would say, well, you're super motivated and I kind of want to be a part of that. And then you can kind of teach them how to be, motivated and have a sense of purpose also. And also on that aspect, do you want to listen to the same content for the rest of your life on the radio? Everyone else listens to that. Everyone that is working the 9 to 5 and doing exactly what you do is listening to the same stuff as you. So why not also jump out and listen to something else? Because that's not only going to change your life, but it's going to change the lives around you in the businesses that you create, the new relationships that you create, everything. So why not change it? You're not going to be stuck in the same place, I'm telling you, if you decide to change what you listen to, the content that you listen to. It personally took me 12 years from that time that I started listening till now that what I listen to shows exactly who I am, shows exactly my motivation level, shows exactly my purpose and passion towards life. So start today. Quit listening to stuff with cussing in it, stuff with that you don't feel, listening to the words of the songs, like I said before. If those words in your life aren't where you want to be, you don't want to live those words, shooting people or whatever, there's a lot of different rap artists out there, and I don't want to hate on them, because I've listened to that music most of my life. But let's change the content we listen to, not only for our lives, but for our kids' lives and for the people around us. This is going to help you with your relationships, with your businesses. This is going to help your accountability. You will stay more accountable if you listen to something without cussing, without hateful material. You will be motivated to succeed in life and help other people succeed. Thank you guys for joining me again today. I had a great time with finding this, and I felt, again, very heavy on my heart to do this podcast. And I hope you guys liked it. And if you guys liked it, please like and subscribe to this podcast so that you can hear more life-changing material in the future. Also, if you or anybody else that may like this podcast, share this podcast with them, not only on here, but you can also let people know about my podcast, and also you could share it too on social media. For the listeners that have been around for a little while that need extra material or haven't done it yet, please go to my Facebook page, Accountability Mentorship. That page I'm going to put out a few different things a week that will help you keep motivated, extra material that's going to keep you going through your week. Once again, thank you for listening. And remember, change yourself and find your purpose so that you can change the other people's lives around you through your passions. Have a great day and have